Welcome to Protea Conversations, the podcast where leadership in business and accounting isn't just discussed, it's explored. I'm your host, Zane Stevens, and thank you for joining me as we delve into the minds of some of the most influential leaders in the industry. Our journey is one of discovery, from unraveling the unique stories that shaped our guests' careers to invaluable advice that fueled their success. We're here to provide you with simple, actionable advice to accelerate your career and personal growth. Whether you're a budding professional or a seasoned executive, these conversations are designed to offer insight and perspectives that resonate with everyone. So tune in, engage, and be inspired as we build better leaders together. Welcome to Protea Conversations.
Today, I'm joined by someone who's redefining what it means to be both a CPA and a visionary leader. Ryan Brinkman, founder and chief visionary of BAC. Ryan isn't your typical accountant. He's an entrepreneur, investor, family man, and firm believer that consistency, integrity, and hard work are true drivers of success. His approach goes beyond the balance sheet. It's about helping business owners see the bigger picture of where they are and where they go. At BAC, Ryan developed vision planning, a forward-thinking approach that helps business owners turn their numbers into strategy and their goals into action. He also created Business Revamp, a hands-on service that helps companies regain clarity, restructure, and boost profitability. In this conversation, we'll talk about how Ryan built his philosophy of leadership and entrepreneurship, how his faith and experience shaped the way he serves clients, and what every small business owner can learn about planning for the future, not just reporting on the past. Ryan, welcome to Protea Conversations.
Thanks for having me, Zane.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. I met you recently at Partner Council, and I really felt like I connected with you, and I enjoyed the way you approached the whole session and just a lot of what you said and just the interesting background that you have. So I wanted to jump on, talk about you, talk about where your career came from, and talk about all the fun and interesting things that you have going on in your life as well.
Well, yeah, that's always interesting to dive into people's stories. So I started out as a central Iowa farm kid. That's where I grew up, kind of cut my teeth and learning what it meant to work hard. And as Sasan told us at Partner Council, get grit and grind. That was a common theme. And we definitely learned that in farm life. And so I quickly understood that growing up, getting smart, getting off the farm was my priority one. And from there, I thought I had a passion to be a corporate or airline pilot. And so I actually came out to the Dubuque area in Iowa here to fly airplanes. And so I went to one of the top flight schools in the country. I got credentialed and all the ratings and went, man, I don't want to be a truck driver in the sky. And by happenstance, my accounting professor said, bro, you should do accounting. You have a natural gift. And I was like, be a bean counter? That sounds so boring. Little did I know accounting was not boring. And it's been a blast ever since. I have enjoyed and loved every aspect of accounting except for audit. Auditing and I were not friends, but the rest of it, we're all in. And so the journey from flight to accounting led to positions with multi-billion-dollar companies where I got to be corporate accountant and help kind of shape and shift the way people think and the way we aggregate numbers. I launched a $110 million corporate purchase card program with Crescent Electric Supply Company, so a gigantic distribution company. That was a lot of fun. And so being an innovator in an era when P cards were new, that was a little different. And then as we shifted from that to get the CPA license on the wall, we got to get some public accounting life. I got into public accounting, and it was like my natural pull is to serve people. That customer service, being able to relate to people and help them solve problems. And so I learned in public accounting that I'm a problem solver, that my critical thinking skills and kind of on-demand creativity is sparked when people have problems, and that's where I get juiced up. And so when they present their problems, I solve them. And that's been what led me to deciding to start CPA Life. Now, in that season from kind of learning to be a CPA in a CPA firm to starting my own firm, I got to lead an international toy company. And so I was the director of finance, licensing, and product development, and I had tons of fun making toys. We made precision model replicas. I was in charge of the launch of the product, bringing it to market, the tooling development platform, and then getting all the specs, options, and creativity to our sales team, all while managing the finance and dealing with all of our legal licensing contracts for like Peterbilt, Freightliner. And so I spent a lot of time doing trade show travel. Not only was I the biggest sales guy, I was also kind of like the one that had all the secrets. So I felt very special in that season. What was supposed to be a 3-year stint turned into 7. And after 7 years, I realized we need to impact the lives of others using our gifts in accounting to deliver the highest quality, knowledge, and value. And that's our mission statement to this day. And so in 2018, BAC was formed. And today we exist with a multi-location practice just ready to help.
I led this off with that you have an interesting life outside of the accounting world, but you also have a really interesting career. I do want to jump back to the potential career as an airline pilot and your analogy of being a truck driver in the sky. And, straight away my mind went to, I have a friend in high school that, mid-20s decided to become an airline pilot, got all his credentialing, then got like his dream job for Cathay Pacific out in Hong Kong in 2020. And he went from flying passengers around to being a cargo runner for a couple of years as the pandemic obviously took hold of Asia and a lot of lockdowns went down. And that truck driver analogy popped in my head straight away. Just that's all he was doing. He was just moving cargo around for 2 years because there were no people on those planes for a while.
Yeah, I thought that the corporate life would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But then I realized the more money people get, the more on demand they feel like they can be.
Yep.
And I really didn't want to be the on demand Uber driver for the multi-billion-dollar rich people on demand flying. I was like, gosh, that sounds like a terrible life. Even though it pays good, you never know when you're going to leave. You're at their expense. And it's like, I just didn't want that. I need something different. But I still love flying. That freedom of power and air. Oh my gosh. It's amazing.
How did you get into it in the first place?
So both of my parents are private pilots.
Okay.
And so it's kind of been something we've talked about for my early decade of life was how cool it was. My parents were pilots, and we'd go to the local air shows and watch them fly around. And I was just mesmerized by the horsepower and the noise and just the sheer power, like I'm going to do that. And so I was just really stuck on being a pilot. And so nothing else was a consideration except for flight school until I got to flight school and I realized, man, this is going to suck.
Well, we missed you at Insured Connect, and one of the speakers there was a Blue Angels pilot. And I think that probably would have really been up your alley in terms of, one, he's a massive personality, great message, but just the inserts of what they do and how they train and really, the precision that they have to learn to fly at, I think probably missed out a little bit there.
Just activate my FOMO some more. Much appreciated.
That's what I got to do. I also had the privilege of being able to meet that speaker as well, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's fact patterns out there where like the medical field has actually studied the aviation field and how we get to precision and excellence and like that calming sensation under pressure that pilots have to exercise. And it's cool to see that this industry is one of the safest industries. I know we've had a few aviation surprises in the last few years, but historically, it's the safest industry. You're more likely to get killed walking across the street than you are in an airplane, right? Yep. And flying in clouds and weather and all the different tech that's in every single airplane and how do we get rhythmic and consistent and just that production horsepower that comes with aviation. That's actually been studied by several fields because, man, it is a true dedication. Like you bleed it and you understand it.
No, it is super impressive. Having friends that have gone through it and just understanding all the study that they have to do and all the hard work. And it's not just, let me fly a plane. It's, thick manuals and understanding geography and wind patterns. And it's a lot. So on top of, being a CPA, you still fly. So you have a lot of that knowledge in your head, but how often do you fly? Is it an activity that you do regularly? Do your family enjoy it?
Yes, I fly monthly. And so, if not more. And so, like, even in the last couple of weeks, I have probably got 10 hours in the airplane in the last 3 weeks. In a given year, I probably average 80 to 100 hours of flight time. And so, when you kind of think about it, it's quite interesting that you spend that much time still in the air.
That is quite impressive. You had mentioned to me before you take the family out sometimes?
Yes. Fortunate to go to school, get smart, get the accounting license. That helps pay for the hobby, which is called aviation. It's a very expensive hobby, but we have a nice little 6-passenger twin Piper Aztec. And so it seats 6. Our family unit size is 7. So we're a little, big, but the kids and I, we can go fly. If we, have a couple kids staying the night somewhere else, we'll take the airplane. If my wife and I need to take a hop somewhere, we'll take the airplane. So we do use it instead of car. We try to travel with airplane.
That's incredible. I don't know what's more incredible though, the ability to fly or the ability to control 5 children.
Boy, I don't know if the word control fits. It's like Law and Order. We have express discipline and they know like dad's the boss here. We got to get this straight. So we've done a really good job. We have 5 daughters. And so they're all family girls. They love their mommy and daddy and they're they're good kids so far. So like so far keeping them in control hasn't been like life changing. It's been part of the process.
As a dad to two boys, I can't imagine having, 6 girls running around my house.
I live in an
Eating
estrogen
stuff.
ocean.
Yep, that's what I was trying to get to, but you put it much, much nicer way. It seems like a lot. We have friends that have, a boy and a girl, and it is clearly a very different task. The rules are the same, but the way you enforce rules between a boy and a girl seem to be slightly different to match their personalities and their energy levels as well. So, any insight into sort of how to day managing 5 children, especially 5 girls, goes?
It's called the therapy couch. I get home from work and my wife's like, there's 3 of them in their rooms. You need to go talk to them. I'm like, oh, Lord, that's going to be 20 to 40 minutes. It's not like a boy where we're going to say, dude, you're so silly. Why would you do that? And you move past it. No, we got to talk about our feelings and dive into emotion and understand the root of why we're upset and what mom did and how that made you feel and how do we process moving forward. And so for us, I would say the day-to-day management of the family home consists of my wife is amazing. She does a really good job loving on the kids, but sometimes enough's enough. You just can't take them anymore.
Yeah.
And then I get home and it's like, Ryan, you got to go help out. You got to go get the kids in line. And it's like, okay, let's do it. And we go and we do therapy time. And to me, that's some of the sweetest time we have. Is that
Yeah.
one-on-one time with the kid. If it takes 20, 30, 40 minutes, it's like, that's what they needed. They
Mhm.
got to see dad, deal with dad and be like really personal. And it's like, we have these deep emotional connections with our kids because we just invest. It's worth it. Every day it's worth it. You work a full-time job, we're running companies. Like there's a lot of stuff moving and we still invest so hard in those kids because it's important. So it's probably the second most important job I have other than loving my wife well.
Yeah. Great advice in there. And, for anybody that is a parent or thinking of becoming a parent, that time with your kid is so important. That's all they really need. They don't need the gifts. They don't need the trips. They don't need money. They just need the time with you, the real conversations, the lessons. I like to tell them stories that my wife
Yes.
prefers I don't tell them about my youth, but they appreciate it and it makes a difference. It's the way we connect. It's the way you get on the same level with them. And, I think with any relationship, be it your kids, your spouse, your team members, real conversation goes a long way.
And one somebody said it to me, and I think it's so amazing. They said kids spell trust Time, and that is so real.
Yeah.
They spell trust time, and I think that when I digest that and I percolate on it a little bit more, it's powerful. Sometimes we're just like, I just want to get through this phase. I just can't wait till they drive, or I just can't wait till they. Never wish time away. You can't get it back, and like that, I took some of that stuff away from a couple sessions. I'm like, oh. That's good. Like there's moments we want to wish it away. Just don't embrace it,
I'm trying to slow time down as my eldest is about to hit double figures, and it makes me extremely sad that he's going to be double figures. It means the end is near, right?
Our oldest is driving now, so that's a little sad.
Yeah, I guess we all go through those moments. And I read something the other day, the best part about being a parent is watching your kids grow up, and the worst part about being a parent is watching your kids grow up. And I don't think there could be a truest statement on the pride that you have to see them becoming little humans into bigger humans, but also at the same time, every time you look in a mirror and they're a little bit bigger, you know that your time with them is limited, and that soon they're going to be running off with friends and then their own spouses and their own children one day, and try absorb the time while you can.
Exactly.
Okay, 5 kids. How do you like spending time with them, except for going on your airplane flights?
Well, airplane trips are fun, especially when you get them motivated. Our kids, right now, we're in this season where we redefine the word busy. Like you think you're busy when you have a baby, right? Like everybody says they're busy. And then they get like into sports and it's like travel ball's a thing. And now, okay, that's new busy. And now we've got 3 kids in travel sports and school sports and wanting to be with their friends. And it's just hectic. One of the best things that I did, we invested into putting a movie room into our basement. And so we put a movie room in and got a popcorn machine, and we reserve, typically it's a night every week or 2, depending, how the schedules line up, to just do movie time. Dad makes killer popcorn, like movie theater grade popcorn. And we all sit and we laugh and we hang out and we get candy out. It's like we just made it this sweet thing that they cherish. And so we get to spend time with them and we get to dwell in just the comfort of each other. And it's been really good. We make family meals a priority at supper time. So
Mhm.
like if kids don't get home till like 6:30, 6:45, we all wait and we all eat together. And we try to keep that family meal time important. And what's been fun about that is tackling highs and lows for the day.
Mhm.
Just going through what was good, what was bad. From there, it seems like we toggle right into homework mode. And it's just been a little busy. And then they go to work on the weekends. And, we try to instill that work ethic that I had, my wife had. And so we make them pay for their car insurance. We make them, buy the fancy things in life that they can't live without. And to do that, you got to go get a job. So it's important for us to teach them those things as well as love on them in those moments. And so for us, hanging with them, playing with them, being present, that's the key, being present. Sometimes we go on long walks. Sometimes we do puzzles. Sometimes some of our kids love to hike. Hiking's kind of a priority for some of them. And so I'll take the ones that want to go hiking. We'll go do some laps in the woods. Bike rides are great. We have a beautiful trail. We can ride about 30 miles and it's like not uphill, not downhill, just pretty flat.
Nice.
Trees covered. So it's a beautiful ride. We typically just spend time together like that. Next week, we're going to Disney. So I'll tell you if that was a good thing or not in a few weeks.
I'm sure it'll age you a little bit, but I'm sure it'll be a great experience at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely making my pockets feel lighter. So that's real.
When we went to Disney, I told my wife, book everything. Don't show me how much it costs.
My wife is a little bit of a tightwad, so she doesn't want to book anything. And I'm like, nah. We got to spend a little bit here.
Yeah, see, we're the other way around. So I would be the one who could cut back. But it is always great memories. I love that. We love doing puzzles, board games, and hiking. Well, more me hiking, but once I get the boys out there, they love it as well. They pretend to hate it until they're outside and they realize nothing better than some fresh air and some movement.
Facts.
Okay, I guess we have to move to the boring stuff and talk about your career a little bit more. I loved learning about, your approach to family. I think there's a lot in there. I know I'm going to rewatch this and, take in some advice. So thank you for that, Ryan. Tell me about the toy manufacturer. I'm sure people are wanting to know more about that because we can all pretend, but we all love toys and the process of making them. And it seems like a really exciting career.
Yeah. So when I started out in the toy industry, it was a way to get out of a job where I had a boss that was a liar. I needed to work off a non-compete and I needed an opportunity to tee myself up for what's happening next. And so I approached this gentleman and he said, yeah, we're looking for a controller role. And I got in there just doing numbers and I was bored. Like doing corporate books to me is slightly painful, right? Like the same thing every day, all day, every day. I need some variety. And so what was super powerful for me was I was able to still do my day-to-day more boring stuff and infuse in the licensing contracts and infuse in the product development platforms. And then I had teams of people that were working with me to launch products and do some detail work. But I just got to have my hands in a little bit of everything. It took me right back to that public accounting lifecycle where you're literally touching 15, 20 different client books. Yep. You're in audit, you're in payroll, you're in accounting. You have variety. I need that. I thrive on variety and I thrive on that stuff. And so in the toy space, we did precision 64 scale model replicas, semi trucks, trailers. We did tractors and farm implements. And so when you think about precision on 64 scale, you're literally dividing things by 64. And that's the dimension, that's the size, right? And so I'd work with licensing, I'd work with our suppliers and get CAD files. We'd send the CAD files across the pond and they would, our engineering teams in China would build out what it would look like in a tool format. And I would go through the reduced CAD files line by line, detail, rivets, hubcap, smokestack, windows, mirrors, just where's Waldo? What is missing that this truck should have to be an authentic 64 scale precision model replica? And so I was in charge of our quality, making sure that what we were producing stood up to the brand or even took the brand to the next level. In a 64 scale semi truck, we had working suspension. We were able to get down and figure out how do you put springs on something super small so that we could have working suspension. We had rubber tires. We had turning wheels in the front so you could steer. And it was so cool and so fun. But that process, man, from, hey, we're going to launch this thing to we start development and we actually get product on the ground, it's about 12 to 18 months pending the complexity of the tool. And
Wow.
so once we decided to go, it was go time. And you'd spend anywhere between 300 and 500 grand on a tool program just to create a semi line for Peterbilt or a semi line for Freightliner. And
Mhm.
so getting into the weeds and doing those details, I actually loved it. But my favorite part about the whole business model was we'd go to these shows, and at every show, you always have the kids that just run up to the booth and go, Dad, I want one. And Dad's always like, don't touch it. We can't afford it. And then I'd go grab a truck off the shelf. That was one of my prototypes. And I didn't care if it got broke. I'm like, here,
Yeah.
why don't you play with this? And the kid would play with it. And Dad's like, how much is that going to cost? I'm like, if he breaks, it's fine. It's one of my prototypes. I could care less. It was so much fun to bring these kids to life. And I think that's what keeps them interested in the industry. Right? And so
Mhm.
we make these collectible grade products that we sell mainly to companies, and we sold them to collector market spaces. And all these people, they so appreciated it. But where we lacked was this kid interest in what we were creating. And how are this next generation going to love what we make if we don't let them touch it?
Yeah.
And so every show, I was all in on letting kids touch this stuff, and something broke, something broke. Like, it is what it is.
It's so fun to be able to, have that part of your job where you can bring joy to somebody's life as well. You know, I try to believe that we do that on the accounting side and show people like their numbers and they get a aha moment, but it's definitely not the same as bringing a smile to a kid and them having some fun with something that clearly put a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears into as well.
Yeah. Zane, do you guys do taxes on your side? No. So I would tell you joy. We bring a lot of joy in the advisory spaces like
Yep.
that. We can find joy. But when
Mhm.
we get down to meeting with our tax clients, it's either a smile or a frown. I feel like we don't really get much in between. They're getting some back. We got to work at massaging some numbers. And all the goal is to take the frown and make it a smile.
Yeah.
And so I spend tax planning season, which is what we're hard in right now, trying to get ready for year end, building out strategy and helping people go from a frown to a smile and making it feel better to pay what their fair share is. And that's our philosophy here. I want to pay my fair share, not a penny more. I want to
Yeah.
exercise the gray area just like it was designed to be exercised. I want to be well served and well taken care of. Let's go. And that's where we're at.
Seems like great advice, and everybody should follow that. So if you have any people that are playing a little bit outside the gray and trying to be too aggressive, run away from those advisors. Ryan, you
Not a
did
big
decide.
fan of that.
No, I got sucked into X today because there's been a run on one guy who was talking about dropping his home into a Wyoming LLC, and then it's a big thing. So a bunch of memes going around, and I had to get off because I was like, one, I don't really understand either side of this conversation. It doesn't sound right, but let me run away before we get there. But Ryan, you've decided at some point, I guess you're working off that non-compete situation for 3 years, ended up being 7 years, decided to go to loan. Tell me about that decision to move on from the toy industry and start your own practice.
Yeah. Ooh. I was blessed at the toy company. My boss loved me. I pretty much got to do what I wanted to do for the business. And because I was responsible with the dollars and made it make sense, I mean, we had a heck of a product line. And I spent millions in tooling to get us there, but we returned every dollar of it and we made the guy more money. And so like he loved what I was doing. I would say my role was like a co-CEO,
Mm.
and really kind of that director of finance, licensing, and product development was more of a responsibility.
Yeah.
But from a leadership mind space, I was kind of co-leading the company, just taking it to the next level. And so leaving there was actually quite hard. It wasn't something that I would say I asked for lightly. I knew that once I left, he was probably going to have to transition the business. It'd be really hard to find somebody to do the job I was doing just because of the level of detail and care and the adversity that I brought, or the diversity, I'm sorry, that I brought. And so through those conversations, it really was my wife and I, it was January 1st, 2018. And everybody tries to do a New Year's resolution, right? And that's not something that we don't really buy into that.
Mhm.
We try to come up with like a word of the year that's going to
Yeah.
kind of be a statement piece for us and
Mhm.
something that we can reflect on throughout the year. And so she's like, babe, what do you think we're going to do this year? And I was like, man, I don't really know. Let me stew on that for a minute. I feel like I'm called to impact the lives of others. And she goes, that's interesting. What does that mean? And I was like, I'm not quite sure. So, well, could you pick something a little less prophetic so we can like write it down and focus on it?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe. Let me just stew on this. And so it probably took me a week to like digest what I really wanted to do to impact the lives of others. And that's where we're very faith driven people in our home, and so we reached out with a little bit of prayer and felt like we were called to start a CPA firm. And I knew it was right when I looked at my wife, who at the time is 9 months pregnant. I'm sorry, maybe not quite 9 months pregnant. Let's say she's 2 months pregnant. When I quit my job, she'll be 9 months pregnant.
Yep.
And I said, I think we're going to start a CPA firm. And she looks at me and goes, let's do it. I believe in you. And I went, wow, you're really, I'm sole income earner here. We're bringing in the money. We got all these kids and I'm quitting my job. You're going to have baby. At the time, it was number 4. We adopted our 5th kid. So we had our final birthed child 10 days after I started the company. And so it was, I quit my job. All the security's gone. We're starting something to making nothing. And you're also having a baby. So you're making nothing. Yep. That's how it's going to go. All right, let's do it. And so September 1st, 2018, we launched BAC, started in our home, and I just started pounding pavement. And 6 months later, we had 3 employees, and we just kept going after that.
Is that partly that your wife maybe thought that you were going to pack up the whole family and go on a mission trip into the middle of deep South Africa and take her away from comfortable life? And a CPA firm sounded not so bad.
There could have been that side. I guess I've not asked her. I was like, when I said impact lives, did you think we was going on a journey overseas, or did you think it was going to be locally here? So that might be a good question to recap.
Yeah, I'd love a follow up on that, because that's where my head was like, was he going to do a mission first and then decided, no, don't worry about it, I'll create a CPA firm? But I mean, I always tell you, I talk to my team about this all the time. It's like, no matter how little task you think you're doing for a client, it is adding a ton of value. And, be able to make that impact. I don't think people realize how much value it adds to business owner, how much, runway, you get those clients that you just know the end is inevitable, right? Like they're probably not going to make it, but you're giving them 18 more months. You can maybe convince them, maybe you help them turn it around. And it's all the small little things that we do as accountants for our clients that can make such a big impact. And when you think about it from that standpoint, hey, I'm adding value, I'm making an impact in this person's life, I feel like it brings a lot more joy to me on a daily basis. And I'm starting to feel like that's sort of where you feel like it as well. Like the more people you can help, the better you feel about your day-to-day work.
Yeah, I think the more people I can help, it's the more value that we're adding to that kingdom effort of just loving on people, right?
Yeah.
And so when we look at our approach to clients and just like we say, loving on them well, part of our core values are honesty, integrity, dedication, and commitment. And we look at this like dedication is real. Like we're dedicated to something. It's not like, I'm dedicated to picking my kid up. Dedication it's something we want to do. We're invested in. We're all in. And our commitment to our team and to our people is that we are committed to be that dedicated. And so we take our core values very seriously here. And it took us a while to create them. Like I did not have those day one. And so when I look at our mission, our vision, and our core values, it's all tailored back to impacting the lives of clients. And for me, I find the best joy when I can impact somebody's life. And sometimes I have to be the negative guy. Like it's not, I'm sure you feel this way too, Zane, but it's not every day that I'm not bold. Like I'm bold to my clients. It's like, this is dumb. And they look at me like, you just said this was dumb. Yeah, it's a dumb idea. And I want you to know, I do not support it. If you pull the trigger, we'll be your CPA firm. But no, you could lose a lot of money. This is a dumb idea. Or, hey, I want to write off this motorhome. No. We can't just write off a motorhome. We got to get creative. Do you want to lease it out and put it on your rentmymotorhome.com and have a little Schedule E rental thing? Okay, cool. We can make this. We can use this, but you got to try. You got to do it. You can't just write this thing off. And so there's ways we can make magic happen. We can solve their problems, but they got to do it the right way. And they got to paper it so it looks good. It's got to pass the sniff test, right? Like all those things have to fall in line. And so my clients are all trained. Come to me and ask the question before you go do, because once you do, it's a lot harder to get the response you want to hear. And so that's our big MO in our office is just ask.
Yeah. I like to sit down with people when they've got some bright ideas as well. It's like, what is the ultimate goal? And then can we work from what you're saying to the goal? Like, is it actually going to get us to that goal? And, a lot of the times like, hey, I expect to bring in cash flow or make a profit. And you're like, let's do the numbers. Yeah. Maybe that profit isn't there unless you hit volumes which you've never hit in your life before. Let's rethink it, Or is there another reason why we're doing it? Is this, bringing people into your business? to sell them more product. Like, there can be other there's portions of it, but I think having those hard conversations, and I struggle with filters. I tell people the same sort of thing, like, oh, I don't think that's going to work. It seems a little dumb. I think that is how we make an impact. That is how we add value.
I think the clients, honestly, my clients anyway, they appreciate the transparency that we bring.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I get a husbands and wife in here together and, he's got wild ideas or she's got wild ideas and he doesn't. And it's almost at times I feel like we're the voice of reason or we're the mediator. Several times people come in and I feel like this is more of a counseling office for business and personal than it really is just doing some strategic planning and advisory work. And what I've learned is that a part of what we do as advisors is we're advising them on the biggest aspects of their life, like the biggest financial tools that are in their entire life system. That's what we're responsible for advising on.
Yep.
It's a no wonder it gets personal. It's a no wonder it gets frustrating. It's a no wonder spouses like when we side with the other one or we like bring some middle ground in because they can't see it like we do. They can't find that middle ground. And we get to help solve that problem. And so many times, like our advisory stuff is also a little bit of like, hey, how do we do life together? And how are you guys doing life together? And I'm a part of a leadership group called C12, and inside of there, we do monthly check-ins, and it's like, where are you at with your marriage and your family and your walk and your metrics for business and eating and fitness, and like the wheel need to be balanced. And so when my clients are in here, there's many times I'm like, dude, where's your wheel out of balance, and how can your business help you solve that problem? And it's like they can see their business kind of come to life to help them. That's a really cool avenue to like connect those dots. And so I enjoy helping them solve problems.
How do you think you develop those skills to be able to have these conversations? Because this has come through on a regular basis in our conversation so far. You have good conversations with your kids and you give them the time that they need. You work for a toy company where conversations with clients, with engineers, with the CEO help drive that business forward. And now you're talking about having good informed conversations with clients to advise them in the right direction. Like, how did these skills develop for Ryan?
Saying that is a really good question. And I would probably tell you that up until 2 months ago, I might not have been able to give you as good of an answer as I think I can give you now. And some of that has been just going through and meeting people, reading books and kind of connecting. But in reality, when people trust you and you trust them, you build a relationship, right? And so once they start trusting you and once you start building the relationship, now you have to be curious. And I think that is the term, or that's the word that has helped me be as integral in these clients' lives is I'm very curious, right? So curiosity stems from faith, right? So like, what do you want to be curious about? Well, when you invest in somebody's well-being, how are you doing? And when they say, I'm fine, no, really, how are you doing? And they say, I'm not fine, it's terrible. And there's 4 minutes of distraction that's going to come out of their mouth. And you treat them with care. You treat that response with care. You build big trust, right? And we just get to stay curious. And so like with the kids, it's just being curious. When they say, when they're having an attitude that's acting out and it's just terrible, what do? Well, we ask, why do you feel this way? And then when they say, it's just because, well, it might be because, but why? What's the root? Like what happened? Wait, what did mom say? Where are we at in this? And you just keep digging and keep being curious. Now, sometimes curiosity can get you in a conversation you didn't want to be in. Like definitely have had those. But also at the same time, it's what we got to do to just touch the trust factors to a high enough level.
I love that answer. And I'm wondering how you would advise people to build that desire to be curious. For me, curiosity comes from wanting to learn and wanting to be better. And that makes me want to ask more questions of people, right? Because I want to understand. I never want to just be able to like, this is the answer. Explain to me why it's the answer. And for me, that's how I've built my curiosity, is just this continuous thirst to learn. But I know that's not going to be a driving factor for every other person. It sounds like from your side, a lot of it is because you want to make those connections, right? Appreciate the trust factor, the building relationships, going forward long term with each other. How do we find what drives curiosity in each one of us?
Yeah. I have learned that I have to be interested in something for it to be a priority. And I've also learned through my walk that I can be interested and still not desire to love it. So for an example, like I am never going to do spelunking or however that term is, rack diving and all this stuff.
Yep.
But if somebody walked up to me and said, dude, I'm a pro jumping off of a cliff and spelunking guy, I'd be like, that is really interesting. Like, I don't know anybody that does that. Tell me more. Like,
Yeah.
what makes that so cool? And typically within a couple questions and a couple back and forth, I get to something that now we have a common interest. And so I can say, well, I'm a pilot. I do skydiving. It sounds like skydiving. And pretty soon now we're talking about skydiving. What started out as his interest or her interest has turned into an our interest that we can both invest and care about. And for me, it's once I'm interested and once I care about it, I'm locked in. Like, I will be able to digest it. I'll be able to serve them well. They will feel loved, trusted, and seen. And the best advice I can give somebody is get interested. And if you're not interested, walk down a path where you become interested. And it's all through just asking some questions.
That's great. And, without spending a day working with you in your day-to-day business, I know for a fact that you're a great advisor because you're spending time on things that you're interested in and that you care about. And that means that you're working with clients with the whole focus of impact, value, and because you're really interested in helping them out. And my big takeaway from all of that is find a career path that excites you. Learn to do things
100%.
that make you happy. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are, how much it pays. If you're not excited about going to work every day and doing what you do, you're just never going to be happy, which means you're never going to be exceptional. You might be great, but you're never going to be exceptional at the job. And, I think bring the happiness, learn to be exceptional, and makes life so much easier.
Yeah. Somewhere I read, people that say, I love my job, you can like your job, but your job is never going to return the favor. So when I say I love what I do, the return benefit that I get back is the client interaction, the care where they see it. What I do really like about my job is I don't come to work and go, man, I wish I wasn't here. There are days where it's like, man, my client deck today stinks and I really don't want to attack this list. But in reality, I genuinely like what I do.
Yeah.
I'm good at it and I feel value in it, and clients love to be a part of that. I care for our team. Like, it's really important that my staff team of 15 full-time employees feel seen, feel heard, and feel known. That's why we have our caring program that cares for our teams, right? All of that stuff provides me great joy. And so, like, BAC gives me joy. It's not a joy sucker. I haven't spent 8 years in something that sucked the life out of me. The first 3 years, it sucked the life out of me because I wasn't well balanced. We're starting a business. We're trying to figure it out. But once we got more balanced in the work-life balance was fine, and the client relational balance was good, and we got team members trained where we're comfortable, we can get questions asked. Like, I find really great joy in running this company. And I can honestly say that I genuinely like what I do. And it's not a cover story. Like, my wife was a nurse for over a decade, and it was a means to an end. She went to school because that was the path of least resistance. Nursing, she liked biology, just seemed like the way to go. And once she got into it, she just dedicated to it. I think if she looked back, she probably would have wanted to be a pharmacist more than a nurse, but she just went and ran and stayed in it. And she stayed in it for over a decade. And now my wife has found freedom from what felt like a means to an end job, which is no joy. And I don't probably like it. It's just something I'm okay at, right?
Yep.
To she's helping our practice and our marketing front. She gets to use the creative side of her mind, and that fits her personality a little bit more. And so while she's not working full time for us, she's a full time mom. And she's full part-time, great marketing aid and helping us with our Facebook promos and all that stuff. And just really loving what she's doing right now. And I love that for her because we both have great joy in what we're doing. And we both have that. We have a really great marriage outside of the office. And it's fantastic to exist in a life where there's joy at home, there's joy at work, and there's just joy in what we do. Like, that's great.
Fantastic. For all the listeners, go find your joy the same way Ryan and his family have. Pretty incredible. Ryan, tell me a little bit about your average day at BAC. Like, what does a day for Ryan look like?
Typically, it starts out with a list, and then we crumple the list and throw it in the trash can because it just changed.
Yep.
And as business owners and entrepreneurs and kind of like the leader of the pack, I think pivoting is just an expectation anymore. Like, if we can't pivot, we're probably not designed to lead well. While some things can't change, like client schedules and appointments and stuff, many of the times I'm trying to get away from this idea of the hottest fire first, right? Like that's not what I don't want to be touching fires. I want to be messing with matters and issues and leadership traits. And so we try to get away from hottest fire first mindset around here and more into what client needs the most care. Now that does feel like a fire. We're just trying to get away from this term. It's on fire. It's burning down. We have chaos and destruction. We want to pivot more towards the mindset like, hey, this client needs help. We're here to help. Let's get the facts out. Let's take the emotion of it away and let's get to a resolution that has emotion to return. And so part of my day is really just navigating the challenges that the team brings to us. Like just this morning, we're a full A&A practice. So we've got audit and accounting. We've got payroll. We've got that business revamp, the vision planning. We prefer that kind of concept, tax strategies, advisory. So the bookkeeping, all that stuff kind of bundles under client advisory services. And each day there's a new conundrum that shows up, and sometimes it needs to be elevated to firm leadership. Sometimes it can stay within your department level, and maybe the department lead needs to elevate. And so most of my day is scheduling meetings with team. They're pre-scheduled, probably a week out, scheduling meeting with clients. So I'm on our business development kind of onboarding teams. And so Mondays are heavy internal meeting days, like from 8 until noon. We're doing admin meetings, onboarding meetings, office 1, office 2, and then overall leadership team meeting, and just trying to get all of our ducks in a row for the week. Then we pivot into, is there any like compliance items that need to be addressed? So thinking engagement letters, and from the A&A practice, like Thomson Reuters PPC guys, like what are we doing to make sure that we've kept things tight? So that would be our kind of the Monday afternoon. And Tuesdays are appointment days where we're just meeting with people. And then Wednesdays are internal days where I spend a lot of time catching up on email, resolving tax notices that may or may not show up, going through our leadership manuals like C12 and trying to implement new ways to change, meeting with our marketing teams. Not only do I own a CPA firm, I'm also into real estate, and I'm also into seed wholesale distribution and production. So Wednesdays kind of get a little bit messed up with multi-company, multi-entity support. To pivot back into Thursdays is where I travel to other offices to make sure our teams see me. They know I exist. They can ask questions. They feel like the leader of the pack has heard their points, maybe working on some IT strategy, tech stack issues that have arose. And Friday, we're pivoting right back to client engagement, client meetings, and we try to get them knocked out in a fairly orderly fashion. And so for me, each day has got structure to it. Yep. Typically there's a plan, but the plan usually gets tossed by the time we get to the end of the day. And I'm looking at the pile going, we ain't getting nothing done today.
Life of a business owner right there. Need to pivot. Plans go out the window, and most days you feel like if you look at that list, you achieve nothing, but you probably achieved a ton. Okay, you're an accountant. AI is the big catchword. It's compulsory that I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on AI at the moment?
I'll be really honest. I've heard about this AI concept for probably about a year and a half in our leadership circles, and have been fairly like curious about it. And so I've been chasing it. And there's been so many new AI players popping up in the last 12 months. It's crazy how fast. I mean, AI, I think, can even make its own AI bots now. It's a little crazy. But we pitch ourselves as a technologically advanced practice. We are 100% cloud-based. We do not have file cabinets. We use software really well. We don't have a complicated tech stack. And so, like, from our perspective, we thought we had tech, ChatGPT, a little AI. Our softwares were introducing AI. And I'm like, yeah, we're doing well with AI. I show up at Partner Council and I start to learn what Silicon Valley thinks about AI. And I'll be honest, I started to feel like a dinosaur in the room. And by the time I got done with council, I'm like, we really need to be looking at AI differently. And we need to be embracing it, I think, at a different level. Now, some of the pain I have with AI right now is from the clunkiness of the CPA industry. Mm-hmm. So as a whole, the AI CPA has expressed, some reservations around using it with sensitive data and how are we protecting client data. Some of what I'm super interested, if that's the right term, in learning is how Intuit plans to, strip sensitive data and use AI as a powerful tool within their platforms, right? Yeah. How are we using AI in our practice without jeopardizing sensitive data? Because frankly, our insurance companies don't know how to handle an AI data breach
Yeah.
and who's going to pay for what. And I'll be really fair. I don't want to jump too far ahead of the horse until I know insurance has got our back, because you never know when something turns into $1 million problem overnight because it just showed up. And so for us, AI is important. We have a team of 3 that we're vetting software. I'd say not probably once a month. We're connecting to see what new players may be showing up, who's heard what in the industry about loves what, and just see if we need to refine our tech stack and see how we can institute maybe our own custom GPT platforms into what we do to make our lives easier. And so part of that struggle that I honestly have is I need an IT guy to help me figure this out, because my goal is to be the best accountant. My goal is to be the best advisor. I do not want to design tech platforms. I don't want to design integrations. I don't want to lead that. And so for us, it's battling the how much money do we spend on an outside IT outfit to help us coordinate this and figure out how to do it well,
Yep.
versus kind of wait for it to show up in some of our software. Still proactive, still willing to embrace it,
Yep.
but more just like patient. Like I said, when we were at council, some of these firms are way ahead of the game on using custom GPTs and all that stuff. And to me, it's like, man, I don't know where I need to be, but I don't want to be the loser of the pack. That's all.
Yeah. I think that's a fair way to put it. I would say be patient, but don't stop playing is a great way to approach AI at the moment. And like you are with any piece of technology, be curious, be cautious, and always figure out what they're doing with data security. That is critical. Ryan, people wanting to come into the accounting industry, what would you say to them to make sure that they pursue this career?
Yeah, so interesting you'd ask that. In a couple of weeks, I'm speaking at the local university to the accounting club and the business program on why accounting's cool, what draws me to it. And so many times we get this stigma that accounting is dry and boring and sucks, and you're going to be trapped in a room with no windows and no light and just, pushing spreadsheets. And I'll be honest, like I thought that stigma too. I went to flight school, and when my accountant professor asked, "Hey, you should be an accountant," I was like, "No, I don't want to be a bean counter." And I don't even know where I got the stigma from. I don't know if it was movies. I'm not sure if I just grew up with hearing that.
Mhm.
And so my whole goal right now is to paint a picture that this is fun.
Yeah.
Like I have fun what I do. I'm not a weirdo. I don't have pocket protectors. My pens don't leak through my pants. I'm just a good guy trying to run a business and serve people well. And that accounting, it's not as much about the numbers as it is about the customer service and client care. And so if you're social and you love numbers, do it. Yeah, you spend the first few years figuring it out. You got to grind. You got to understand software. You got to teach people. But that's so you can be great at solving problems. If you don't go through the greatness piece, the refinement piece, you can't get great. And so for me, the push is I love what I do. I'm not strange. I enjoy helping solve people's problems. And if you're a puzzle person, you like critical thinking, you think outside the box, dude, get your CPA and go solve people's problems. You'll have more fun than you've ever had solving other people's problems than your own.
Absolutely love it. I've loved this conversation, Ryan. To finish off, we always love to have some rapid fire. So I have 5 questions for you if you're ready.
I'm ready. Ready as I'll ever be, Zane.
What is your dream vacation?
My wife and I want to go to Europe for 4 weeks. We'd like to ride the train and visit as much stuff as we can. And I'm renting a fancy car that I shouldn't rent and driving on the Autobahn as fast as I can drive. There.
Love it. Do you prefer audiobooks or paper books?
I'm more apt to listen to the book, but I'm less apt to digest stuff without it being in paper. So if I really want to know it, I get a paper book and I actually get a highlighter and a pen and I go through that book. And as I find something that's cool, if I highlight it and I pen it, I will remember it. If I do the audiobook, I might actually listen to more books, but I'm probably not going to remember much of them.
Great.
So paper.
If you got 20 minutes to exercise, what would that exercise be?
My wife and I are really big into the Beachbody program. And so we've got a 25-minute exercise we do every day. And, it's just enough where we can get good, hot, sweaty, and tired. And it's not too much where I get bored and don't want to do it anymore. I would say one of those Beachbody tools would be I love hiking and biking though. Like that'd be 2 hours. I'd go on a bike ride. Like, let's go bike ride.
What is your favorite piece of technology that makes your life easier?
So we're an anomaly, I think, for an accounting firm. We are 100% Apple based. here. And the best piece of tech that I use every single day is my iPad for note taking. It's a digital note taker and it's synced between my phone, my computer, my staffs can see these notes. And so for us, that iPad has been an absolute game changer and I don't go anywhere without it. I take church notes on it. I use it all the time. It's my favorite tool.
Absolutely love it. Last question. Growing up, Ryan, what was your favorite childhood meal?
My mom makes the best meatloaf and cheesy potatoes. Remember, I grew up on the farm, so it's got to be hearty.
Yep. Love it. Ryan, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being a guest on Product Conversations.
Thanks for having me, Zane. I appreciated it. And I'm excited to see how you guys keep shaping this podcast.
And with that, we ended another Product Conversations. Thank you for joining us in this journey of learning and inspiration. Today, we've gained insight from our guest and taken another step towards understanding the diverse tapestry of leadership in business and accounting. Remember, each conversation is a step towards the positive transformation of business leaders. We hope our discussion has given you valuable takeaways to apply in your own career and life. Don't forget to subscribe to Product Conversations on YouTube and Spotify so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and experiences, so connect with me on social media channels. I'm most active on LinkedIn and would love you to join the conversation. Join us next time for more engaging stories, advice, and conversations that matter. Until then, keep striving for excellence and embracing growth. Thank you for listening, be kind, and goodbye from Product Conversations.